This is Donna, and I'm here with Lynn Blackburn, and we are going to talk a little bit about her, and then a little bit about her books, and then maybe even a little bit about writing. So, Lynn, go ahead and start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Lynn Blackburn, and I write romantic suspense for Revell, and my current series is the Dive Team Investigations series. The first 2 books are out, and the 3rd book will release in the fall.
And many of them know In Too Deep was my favorite. I said they were my favorite couple, like Adam and Sabrina were just perfect. So if you can, give us a little sneak peek about the new one coming out.
Well, it's funny you say that about Adam and Sabrina, because when I wrote the first book, Ryan and Lee, all 6 people, all 3 couples are in all 3 books. But I started getting a lot of mail and comments about Gabe, because we have a lot of Team Gabe fans out there. And I was like, well, 2 won't be Gabe. It will be Adam. Can we be Team Adam? And I love that Adam and Sabrina are your favorite, because I love them too. And fortunately, everybody was fine with that. And I mean, I'm drawing out the suspense for Gabe and Anissa. But the final book is called One Final Breath, and it releases September 3rd. And it does focus on dive team captain Anissa Bell and homicide investigator Gabe Chavez.
Yeah, you have definitely got the mystery with Gabe, and the fact that they somehow have something beforehand. So yeah, we definitely picked that up in the first one. Yeah,
they have history, and actually one of my projects for this summer is to write. It will probably just be a scene. It's not a lengthy history. But they have history, and it does come up, and it is explained in the book, but I want to write the scene and do it as a giveaway, like for the newsletter or something like that.
That would be
around release day. And then I even asked on my Facebook page, if you had something like that, would readers want to read it before they read the book, or would they want to read it after they read the book? And I got completely mixed results. There was no consistency. It was about half and half. So that's not helpful. But other than, I will just say, you decide. It's here, and you can choose to read it beforehand or let it unfold. I would prefer to let it unfold in the book, and then go back and read the detailed version. But everybody's different. But Anissa is complicated, and I'm hopeful. The biggest thing with her is I was afraid. I want people to like her as much as I do. She has a really hard past, and it explains so much of some of her hard edges. And of course, Gabe has been chipping away at those edges for a long time. And even Gabe, there was a lot of pressure with Gabe, because by the time I started writing it, I was getting feedback from people who had read Beneath the Surface, and they were excited for Gabe's story, and I'm going, the pressure, I have to get Gabe right. And my husband's like, you wrote him. I'm like, I know, but people now, which is true, when you write a book and you put it out there, it's not all yours anymore. Even your characters are not all yours. Readers bring things to them and get strong opinions about them. So a couple people have said that I got Gabe right. So we'll see in September. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get an arc of that in case Karen Steele's listening.
I don't even get arcs, so I don't know how that works, but I'm rooting for you.
I'm on NetGalley. So I noticed that you attend a lot of conferences. So kind of tell us what would make you come to the conferences, and then you also like to teach. So kind of share with us a little bit about that.
Well, my first conference was Blue Ridge in 2010. And it is a true statement when people say, if you're a writer, what should you do? How do you get published? How do you get better? The answer really is go to a writing conference. I'm very fortunate where I live that we have some phenomenal authors in a very small space, and they're close by and they're accessible, but most writers don't have that option. And a conference is where you can really rub shoulders with authors and editors and agents, and you can take classes on the craft and learn how to write. Not to mention, writers are weird, and sometimes there's just something about being with your people. It's very comforting and encouraging. And then from the perspective of teaching, when I was 2nd grade, Lynn would have told you she wanted to be a teacher, and I just love having that interaction. I was terrified at my first 2 conferences, and anything I can do to ease some of that for others, I want to do that. And then I think, I don't know how it is in the secular writing community, but in the Christian writing community, there really is a sense of genuinely wanting to give back and not a lot of the petty infighting. My mentor is Lynn H. and she doesn't look at me as competition. Yeah. It's not like I don't want you to do well, because not like I'm going to be any competition, but you know what I mean? It's like, there's just that sense of there's room at the table for everyone, and everyone has a story that's unique, and we have no idea what God's going to do with someone's story. And it's fun to see writers come in and learn and grow and then go on to be published themselves, and it's awesome. So writers are just fun people, and it is a bit bizarre to get a whole room full of like 500 introverts, except for the 10 extroverts
on stage.
On stage, that's a good place for them. But there is something. Sometimes writing can be so solitary, because it has to be. You have to be still. You have to focus. You have to concentrate. You have to tune everything out, and you have to do the work. But it's a place to kind of refill that well, and also to have that sense of, because most of the time, very few writers have family members who really get it. They're supportive. It's not that they're not supportive, but to truly get it is different. And it's wonderful to be in a place where people get it. Yeah. And I have to be careful. Blue Ridge is only 2 hours from my house, so it's an easy travel for me. I have to be really careful to space out my conferences and choose very wisely. ACFW is always great because I can usually meet my team from Revell. My editor's usually there, the marketing team and publicity team. So it's nice to have face-to-face time instead of just emails. But otherwise, I have to be really, really careful about what I say yes to, which is hard. Because I would like to say yes to everything. Yeah, exactly.
You still want you writing.
But I still have to write.
I was thinking, like you could be competition from Lynette because your books are both great, but you guys don't write enough, so we're going to buy both.
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes people say,
fast.
well, I don't want to, what if somebody takes my spot? I'm like, how could you take someone's spot? If I can read my own book in an afternoon, I only write a couple a year, so that leaves an awful lot of days for all those other authors, and the more the merrier.
Yeah, I think they even talk about a certain percentage of the readers by X percentage of the books.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So tell us about what is the best money you've spent as a writer?
My first advance check immediately went into a Mac. And I've never regretted it. It's still going strong. And I actually just took it in for a little cleanup the other day, and I was so relieved because I was like, it's acted a little squirrely, and they fixed it. And I use a PC I teach Scrivener classes, which is a writing software, which I do highly recommend. I love it. But I teach it for the PC class and for the Mac class. And part of my motivation for the Mac was, well, number one, like all the writers I knew had a Mac. So I kind of, wanted to be in the in crowd there. But also the Scrivener version for Mac is superior to the Scrivener version for PC. And I wanted to be able to do that. But I never looked back. I had no trouble transitioning to it, and it's just, everything's seamless. So my phone talks to my computer and talks to my watch, and everything talks to each other, and it makes life a lot easier. So I love my Mac.
Very good. Yeah. That's good to know. What would you tell your younger writing self?
I would tell my younger writing self to chill out. I was a hot mess, and I was so eager, but I really felt like I'm a perfectionist, and I really felt the pressure to do everything right. And I wish so. I mean, and I'm sure people did tell me this, but I was too busy trying to do everything right. But God's plans are not thwarted by whether or not I took the right class at the right conference at the right time. His plans are going to prevail. And one of my favorite verses says, the Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. And then it concludes with, do not forsake the work of thy hands. And I pray that a lot. I'm like, okay, Lord, you've called me to this. You've asked me to do this. I'm working on it. And now I need to leave it for you to fulfill your purposes for me, whatever those may be. And I wish I had just relaxed a little bit. But it all worked out.
That is good. That is good. All right, so let's end with a fun question. So if you were not a writer, what would you do?
this is of course completely unrealistic. I do have a good imagination. I would love to be a Broadway star.
Oh,
It's unfortunate because I can't sing, can't act, can't dance. I'm a triple threat, which is a line from Singing in the Rain, which is one of my favorite movies. But I don't have a horrible voice. I'm an alto. I'm a choir singer. Like, I'm a good ensemble person. I can blend in. But I don't have a solo voice. I can't act to save my life. That's why I write, because I can pretend to be all these people, but I don't have to do it in front of you. And I cannot. The Elaine dance from Seinfeld is about as good as I could get. So it would be awful. But in my car, if I happen to be alone, there's probably like some Broadway something belting out, and I am nailing it. I am singing along at the top of my lungs. But I just think it would be fun. And I find live performances very inspiring from a creative perspective. There's just something about watching people put themselves out there, and they're all in, and they're on the stage, and they're doing it, and they're doing it together. It's beautiful, and I love it. And even this morning I was listening to the group sing, and I thought, I think it's a taste of heaven when you see that cohesiveness and camaraderie, and I love watching other people's creative work brought to life. So yeah, if I had a third life and a completely different skill set, that's what I would do.
Oh, that's good though. That's definitely surprising. I don't think we would have guessed that.
Never worked, but I would love to do it.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great.
It was great to meet you, and we're always thrilled when we meet like our star authors, and you're just as great as we imagine you from the books, and so it's awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you. This was awesome.